Hey all, welcome to Forest County, Pennsylvania and Forest County Outback Channel, combining history with the outdoors. Now today we are going to look at the remains of two 1800s era sawmills and some artifacts from those mills that normally don't survive. Now we're at Clear Creek State Park today, which technically is in Jefferson County, but it's close enough to forest that we'll include it. Now on Clear Creek there was lumbering operations dating back to the 1840s and ending around 1904 or 5. So there was some real longevity there as far as these operations go. And the main operators here were George and John Frazier. They were brothers who originally came from Pittsburgh. And this is Forest County Outback 31, the Frazier Mills on Clear Creek. Now, if you look at this photo, this was taken, well, we really can't, okay. Now, if you look at this photo, we really can't get to the spot where the photo was taken from, but the sawmill in the foreground was over that way. And then the sawmill in the background was up that stream. Yeah, lack of trees makes a big difference, doesn't it? So these were the sawmills of the Frazier brothers. And the mill up above was their original mill, and it was built in 1856. And this mill down here, the lower one, was built in the mid-1870s. So we're going to go up the stream to the first mill, start up there and work our way down. Now we're on the upstream side of that upper mill, and there was a dam right over here, and there was some kind of a building here. There's a square excavated area, and there's part of the dam over there, and we'll get down in there and look around. It's some pretty interesting stuff right here. So there's that excavated area side of the building, and then we've got part of a dam here, and this was the sluiceway. The dam continues over there. Now these mills were powered by water turbines. Usually when you think of water powered mills, a lot of people, they think of the big water wheel, and that was really one of the most inefficient methods, the water turbines. And we'll be able to look at the turbine from this mill later. The water turbine was much more efficient. You didn't have to have a big drop, you just needed to have a flow. Big timbers on this raceway. And then the mill sat down over here. And you see there's some flooring in here. More timber scattered around. Now we don't know the location of the first sawmills here, but we do know, as I said, the Frazier brothers came here in 1856. And they built this mill first, and it ran until the mid-1870s when they built the new mill. Now there was rumor at one time that the Fraziers had a railroad, use a logging railroad over here. There's really no evidence of it. There are they had a series of tram roads, and they used a lot of oxen. And we know that from excavating the blacksmith shop. There were a whole lot of oxen shoes turned up there. And this being a state park, a lot of the tram roads have been turned into hiking trails. Now, for a long time, the only visible remains of this was this raceway over here. And in 2013, there was a flash flood, and it moved a lot of dirt. It knocked those trees down there and exposed these timbers over here. That's one of those things, you know, when we look at these mill sites, you got to wonder, you know, what's hiding underneath those places. But there are just pieces of timber all over here. So there was like some kind of pier there for the dam. And then over here, there's more stones from the dam. From the photos and their building style of the second mill, it looks like that they built stone piers and then infilled with timbers, with logs in that. So you got more timbers here on the upstream side. Now what they would have done was built a log crib work and filled it with stone to create a pier, a point to anchor the rest of the dam. Another timber over there. So you got to figure these timbers have been in the water here for from 1856, about 180 years, coming up like 200 years, and they're still well preserved. I'll try to get around over there. There's a whole bunch of timbers on the other side of this. Look at how precise those cuts are. And there's a broken piece with a tendon over there. That 4x4 is not an original. Now we're coming down to the site of the lower mill. Now when they built the lower mill, their log pond backed up all the way to the first mill, to the upper mill, and they had no power then. The water had no head. It was in slack water, which probably didn't matter because I'm sure the second mill was being built specifically to replace the first mill. But the site of the second mill was just up ahead here. So that's the back side of the dam. The mill would have been on the other side of that dam. We'll take a look at it. But they did the same thing here. They had some crib work filled with rock and then logs in between. Now this stuff here is not original. That is Trout Unlimited set this up. That was supposed to be a fish ladder over there, which kind of didn't work out. So we'll go down here, take a look around at what remains. Now this behind me is one end of the dam, and if you look in the photos you'll be able to see it. Was a tram road up on the bank there, and then between that pile of stones and a smaller one here and another over there, there was log infilling. And then the mill itself sat right over in here, and it's a little hard to see right now with the brush up, but there's a large rectangular depression in here. Now there was a CCC camp here in the 1930s, and they built the infrastructure for the park. Now supposedly, I haven't been able to find any pictures of it to really verify it, but this sawmill was abandoned in 1904. They had exhausted the timber, and the Fraziers moved back to Pittsburgh, and you know, whatever. When the CCC came in the 1930s, this mill was still standing. Sort of. I guess it was in pretty bad shape, and they tore it down. Now it's really a shame they didn't make that maybe a restoration project, because that would have been a fantastic example of a sawmill, original sawmill from that era. So yeah, so I guess, you know, they came in here and got kind of slap happy with the bulldozers, and yeah, but at least they did leave some remains here. And like I said, there's some artifacts down in the museum, so that normally don't survive, so we'll be able to take a look at those. Well, anyhow, there's you can see the embankment around here, although that may have been something from the CCC, but there's some cut stone in here too. This is a piece of the water turbine that powered this mill. And yeah, it's weird that they just ditched it. You think something that heavy, they would have found some way to recycle it, but the trees growing around it. So this is part of that dam, and then that part over there has been obliterated. When they put this fish ladder in, they did turn up some original timbers, and they reburied them. All right, now this pile of stone under these weeds is a boiler house. At some point, that mill over there, the second mill, was converted from water power to steam. And this is the remains of the boiler house. as agile as I used to be. Probably look stupid climbing under that tree. So this was a pretty big boiler house, and I'm wondering if they were running some auxiliary equipment besides the sawmill. So there's the mill, or the boiler house, and there's a little interesting thing here on this rock. Now this rock, the other part of this rock is up on that bank. It apparently was blocking the road to the mill. Did you see this right here? That's a drill hole. It's a blasting hole. And it was done, the blasting was done, we're assuming it was a Frazier's, not the CCC, because CCC would use dynamite. This was done with black powder. And you can tell because the groove is V-shaped, whereas black powder would be a round hole. Or I mean, sorry. The black powder they used, it was a V-shaped groove. V-shaped hole. And with dynamite it was round. Now black powder also just split the rock, whereas dynamite would shatter it. So we've got this stone here up on the bank, and here's the other half of that hole. So, little tidbit to know how to identify your blast holes. Never know, someday you may be on jeopardy and you need to. Okay, we are at the museum for Clear Creek State Park, and they have artifacts that were found at the sawmill site here. So we're going to take a walk in and see what they have. So we have a bunch of photos, bunch of artifacts. Let's take a look around. These are called log dogs. That's how they were used to skid the logs. They use these to hook up to the team. And they would trim the end of the log so it wouldn't catch on things. These are ox shoes that were found in the park, and you see an ox shoe it's a two-piece shoe. Can hooks without the wooden handle. Crosscut saw. So this is the turbine from the upper mill. This style, it's an early style of turbine. It was called a rose wheel. If you know that, notice that one that we found by the tree, it was the blades were a different style. And some kind of machinery shaft. I mean, this stuff, like I said, was all found at the mill sites. And sluice gate was used to regulate water flow through the raceway. And this here is a model of what's called a sash mill. Would have been probably similar to the first mills. It was just a single up and down blade. So I had these chain links here. A lot of those up at the blacksmith shop. Found a lot of those. Also, pieces of harness. And this is a shingle mill. We've talked about shingle mills in the past, and I said they're hard to find because they didn't leave a big footprint. This is why. There wasn't a whole lot to them. And remember, before asphalt shingles, houses were roofed with wooden shingles. A belt pulley here would have been run off of water or steam. A lot of them were horizontal. The blade would be flat, but you would put your block that you were cutting shingles off of in here, and it would, slice them in. The saw would slice them off. That's it for Forest County Outback 31, the Frazier Mills at Clear Creek. We'll be back here for the next video. We're going to work on an archaeology dig. That should be pretty interesting. In the meantime, like, share, comment, subscribe, and you can now also follow us on Facebook at the Forest County Outback page. And thanks for watching. We will catch you on the next one.